Hey, Toad.
My car.
The Wolf Among Us is only the second game of its kind that Telltale has released, and already they've shown a massive improvement over the formula established in their take on The Walking Dead. But before we go on, this is an entire Season 1 review, and I'll be sure to stay away from any big spoilers. But if this is the only bit of the video you watch, I urge you to go play The Wolf Among Us for yourself. Despite having a formula similar to The Walking Dead, The Wolf Among Us is distinct and in many ways better than Telltale's first narrative-driven adventure game. This is easily seen in the superb art style that is absolutely dripping in different shades of neon lights and backed with a subtle but mesmerizing synthesized score. The story is told through the lens of a mid-80s neo-noir film and punctuates every note of the genre extremely well. First and foremost is our brash protagonist Bigby Wolf, Sheriff of Fabletown. Many mythical fables, including the likes of Beauty and the Beast, Snow White, and Mr. Toad, have taken up residence in the Bronx to start a new life, hiding their fantastical features with the help of magical glamours that make them appear human.
That's a problem. If you can't afford to look human, you're going to the farm. It's as simple as that.
You can't send me up to live with those animals.
It is Bigby's job to keep these fables in line, making sure they stay out of trouble, keep hidden, and solve the murder mystery plaguing the town. The varied yet classically familiar cast feels natural in this noir setting. The fairy tale stories you're familiar with serve as basic backstories for each of the characters, but they all have their own twist.
Oh, hey Bigby. I'm in your chair, huh?
These characters befriend, despise, and love each other in surprising and interesting ways, and their personal opinion of Bigby directly affects how he, and by extension you the player, interact with them. They all have their separate, well-thought-out wants and needs that don't always line up with your agenda, and how you approach each conversation has a believable impact on the fable you're talking to. But The Wolf Among Us is more than just a mature version of Once Upon a Time. Bigby Wolf doesn't have the best of reputations around Fabletown. He is brash and to the point with a quick temper he has trouble keeping in check. As far as protagonists go, Bigby is by far the most interesting character I've seen or played as in a video game. His interactions with each of the fables makes it clear he has a history with many of them, and his opinion of them and why that is always clearly evident. I found it extremely easy to slip into Bigby's gruff way of thinking and acting, and this is one of the game's best strengths.
You got a shit fucking memory, Wolf. That's not how it went last time.
This isn't last time.
This is because The Wolf Among Us places a huge emphasis on making choices. Everything from casual conversations to where to investigate next to heat-of-the-moment choices made during a fight greatly impact the story and the characters surrounding Bigby. Being the sheriff of a secret group of magical beings in the Bronx is certainly no easy task, and the game takes the decisions you make and gives them weight and consequences that aren't always clear. There are no easy answers in The Wolf Among Us. Sometimes it seems like there are no answers at all. However, each choice has a consequence, good or bad, and the ripple effect carries itself through all 5 episodes, right up until the climax. Many people may find issue with the individual length of each episode, but I personally found the hour-and-a-half-long segments to be perfectly paced. There is less of an emphasis on walking around mindlessly like The Walking Dead, and this streamlines the experience to the great writing and decision-making which is Telltale's strength. I never felt like I was stuck in one area for too long or performing useless tasks, and I was always excited to see where I was going and what happens next. The game does an excellent job of always closing out answers to questions while simultaneously raising new ones. The stakes were always raised, but you never felt like you weren't making progress in the case. Characters change and grow as the series progresses, and their motives are revealed to you at a comfortable pace that ensures you are always learning something. If anything, The Wolf Among Us is a perfect example of tight, concise storytelling where almost no scene is wasted and character actions are logical and true to who they are.
They fear you more than anything. You ate a lot of people back in your day.
I thought we were all supposed to have a fresh start here. I can't change the past.
Well, you can't change people's memories either.
The choices you make as Bigby are some of the toughest Telltale has come up with. They affect not only Bigby and the story, but the characters around you. I was extremely happy to find by the game's climax that the writers didn't forget many of the choices, big and small, made throughout the preceding chapters. Consequences aren't immediate, but rest assured that they are there, ready to bite you in the worst possible moment. Many of the decisions come from wrestling with what kind of person you want Bigby to become. However, by the time you get comfortable with who Bigby is and start making decisions that are logical to you, the game starts scrutinizing those choices more and more. There is a great friction between the Bigby you want him to become and the Bigby the characters want him to become. The decisions that comprise these moments were enough to make me sweat, hovering over 2 or sometimes 3 choices that I knew went against either staying true to Bigby or against common moral code. The urge to rip out an enemy's throat who pissed you off may give you a visceral satisfaction now, but even when I pushed the button, I knew I would regret it later. But that's the beauty of The Wolf Among Us. The game doesn't hide the fact that you will face consequences later, but it doesn't discourage you from making the choices you want to make either. There are technically no wrong answers, only different consequences, and with each playthrough, you are sure to get something different out of Bigby's adventure. Restraining yourself in the present can have a huge payoff later, a visceral, satisfying high that may even surpass indulging in Bigby's violent desires. Above all, though, The Wolf Among Us made me feel something. I pitied many of the characters. I was tormented whenever I had to make these big decisions. I felt awful allowing Bigby's dark side to take over, but enjoyed it while it lasted. The game starts off with a violent confrontation, a blistering action sequence that sees Bigby at his worst. But by the end of the game, my Bigby was so nuanced and conflicted that it became as painful to watch the consequences as it was to make the decisions. There was real character growth, something not many video games can claim to have accomplished. The Wolf Among Us might not have made me cry like The Walking Dead did, but it didn't need to. Instead, the game made me feel something different. Melancholic, funny, and at times painful, The Wolf Among Us is a huge leap forward for Telltale and its genre, and I eagerly await Season 2.
A lot of stools in this place. But there's only one right next to you.
You gonna order something? Or you just here to bother my customers? You know what I mean.